Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. Police in Elmira investigating a shooting on the city's south side that left a teen injured. Our Josh Feldberg joins us now with the latest. Josh?
Police report it was here, in the 200 block of Franklin Street in southern Elmira, where gunshots rang out yesterday afternoon. A 15-year-old was hit and another bullet struck a parked car.
This is the street where what police are calling a gun battle took place. Police found different shell casings on the ground indicating multiple shooters. Police also executed a search warrant in one of the nearby houses and found used shell casings as well as a semi-automatic handgun.
Elmira police also report that two vehicles involved with the shootout drove a few blocks away to West Avenue and West Hudson Street. Two suspects then ran away. The 15-year-old girl who was shot was taken to a hospital to be treated for what police described as non-life-threatening injuries. Big Fox contacted the Elmira Police Department to learn more about how the teenage victim ended up getting shot, but they did not return our calls. Elmira Police did report that they believed the people involved in the shootout knew each other, and the gun battle was not a random act of violence. So far, no one has been arrested, and police are still investigating how it happened. Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Elmira.
This well-traveled intersection of East Washington Avenue and Clemens Centerway Parkway in Elmira was the location of a three-car crash yesterday. Police reports state that a Chevrolet Trailblazer ran through a red light, colliding with a Subaru. The two cars then struck a Chevy Tahoe, which rolled. One person suffered serious injuries and is receiving treatment at Robert Packer Hospital after being airlifted from Arnott, Ogden. The Elmira Police Department requests that anyone who witnessed this crash or may have information about it contact them with the number you see on the screen. Big Fox will update you with any further developments. There's new reaction to the Biden administration floating the idea of a federal gas tax holiday. It's, of course, in response to the skyrocketing fuel prices hitting Americans' pocketbooks. Members of his administration are also waving off fears of a potential recession. Rich Edson has a closer look from Washington.
Decades-high inflation is hitting millions of Americans.
Our biggest problem is our costs have doubled, and they went up so fast and so quickly that our budget, we couldn't budget it in that fast.
Biden administration officials say they're focused on slowing down growing prices. The president says he's considering a federal gas tax holiday, as well as rebate cards for drivers. He's also calling on oil companies to boost supply.
What they've done is they cut back on the refining capacity. They have 9,000 leases, 9,000 leases on public land, and they should either use it or lose it.
Bank of America says there's a 40% chance the U.S. tumbles into a recession next year. Top Biden officials say a recession is not a given.
Inflation obviously is happening globally. A recession is not inevitable. The president really wants to have a steady and stable recovery.
Economists are mixed whether the Federal Reserve will slow inflation without causing major economic harm. Last week, the Fed raised rates 0.75 percentage point.
Given that you went from virtually almost zero to now almost 2% in a very short period of time, that's going to constrict the economy, I think, very dramatically.
Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm will discuss rising gas prices when she meets with refining executives this week. In Washington, Rich Edson, Fox News.
American Airlines is ending its regional service to the Ithaca Tompkins International Airport. In a statement, American Airlines says the reason they're ending services is because of a lack of regional pilots. The airline will stop serving at the airport effective on September 7th. Anyone with flights out of Ithaca after the 7th will need to find alternative travel arrangements as recommended by the airline. New York strengthening its voting rights laws. Governor Kathy Hochul signing a new bill aimed at improving and protecting voting rights for New York's minority communities. It is named after civil rights icon, the late Congressman John Lewis. Under its many provisions, the bill bans voter suppression tactics, establishes a voting and election database, and makes any electronic interference in voting a misdemeanor crime. According to the Legal Defense Fund and the NAACP, the law is among the strongest in the nation to protect a person's right to vote. The latest battle over pizzeria names is playing out in New York City. Two pizzerias in the same neighborhood and just blocks away from each other have the same family name. The owners used to work together, but as Mac King reports, that's no longer the case.
I wish them very, very well selling pizza, just not under my name.
On a 9-block stretch of 30th Avenue in Astoria, one finds two pizza shops with different owners selling different pizzas with the same namesake and marquees differentiated by only 3 letters and an apostrophe.
If I'm not going to be involved, then it's giving a false perception that I have something to do with the quality control or with the pizza that's going out there.
Andrew Bellucci co-opened Bellucci's Pizzeria in March after leaving Bellucci Pizza, which he helped to open in January of last year.
It went great in the beginning, like all relationships, right? And then we had a big difference in opinion.
Actually, he's not my partner. I hired him. He had a post on Craigslist looking for a job. I reached out and he came interview him, and then I hired him.
Leo Docmock owns Bellucci Pizza, no longer employs anyone named Bellucci, and says he didn't want to name his shop Bellucci in the first place.
Literally begging for like 3-4 months straight, not stop. Please call it Bellucci.
But after investing in the name, which he showed us paperwork apparently showing he legally owns, Leo plans to keep it.
I want to make a statement. I invested a lot of money in that sign, and I made it bigger, and I'm expanding next door as well, and it's coming another bigger sign.
So 2 pizza ovens beneath Bellucci signs now make rival pies on 30th Ave in Astoria. Both recommend their slice of regular for first-time patrons.
I would go for the plain all the time.
You have to order the classic slice or the classic pie. It's just dough, sauce, and cheese, so you can't hide anything.
Both stress their product differs from the other Bellucci's.
All these pies, actually, Andrew Bellucci never saw them. We created them all after he's gone.
I changed my dough recipe 3 times in the last week.
And it's now up to Astoria pizza eaters to decide which slice they prefer.
It became personal, and he expected me to close down after he left.
It's what motivates me to get up in the morning.
In Astoria, I'm Matt King, Fox 5 News.
New research says Medicare could save billions by buying generic drugs by wealthy entrepreneur Mark Cuban's online pharmacy. Analysts from Brigham and Women's Hospital and Harvard Medical School compared the prices of 89 prescriptions from Cuban's online pharmacy to what Medicare was paying. They found the federal insurance could have saved around $3.6 billion on 77 generic medicines if bought from Cuban's drugstore. Researchers say the findings show there can be cost savings to consumers if changes are made to the current way people get medication. Your complete forecast is next, plus a look at a unique fashion show where the clothes are made from food and are helping to teach cultural lessons. Stay with us.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Hi everyone, welcome. I'm meteorologist Sam Ryan. As we head into the day Wednesday, the sunrise technically at 5:31 a.m., sunset at 8:46 p.m. Now that we're one day past our summer solstice, and get a load of this, 24-hour gain loss, we're losing 0.04 of a second of daylight. That's precision right there, I tell you. 15 hours, 15 minutes will be the daylight hours for the day Wednesday. And then in 1 week, it dips down to 15 hours and 13 minutes. So we're going to lose 2 minutes and 12 seconds. So no longer gaining that daylight is the bottom line. As we look back over the last 5 days, we saw some cooler temperatures Saturday, a little bit warmer Sunday, but still well below the average. Started to warm up a bit more Monday. As we head into Wednesday now, we're going to have those cooler temperatures. And we see during the overnight, we'll fall down to around 62. There will be some showers and some thunderstorms developing here Wednesday afternoon. And that's along a cold front. So we'll see a big gradient in temperatures. So we're looking at temperatures all the way up into the 80s here by noon. And then we'll have that chance of some showers and thunderstorms, cooling down a little bit at 5 p.m. around 81. So a cold front is approaching. Storms begin or initiate early afternoon, continue into the evening hours, and we could have some very heavy rainfall, some training of thunderstorms. If you're familiar with that term, that's where they track over the same location. That adds up very quickly. Watch out. Could have some flash flooding potential here for Wednesday evening, and then also some large hail out of a few cells. At least that's the potential. Now, the heavy rain, I think, is more of the risk in a few locales. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly where. Here we are, Wednesday afternoon. See how we kind of start to see those fire up. They become a little more numerous, and they're right over the area here. So some of the models indicating well over an inch widespread for the area, and certainly if you get hit by a couple different thunderstorms, you could boost that up to a couple inches, and that's where we could start to run into a few problems out there. So as we look at the hour-by-hour forecast, kind of try to time things out a little bit better for you. Morning, dry start, and even around 11 a.m., 82 degrees, kind of muggy out there. 85 early afternoon. Here we are, 2, 3 o'clock or so, maybe even just an hour before that. We get into some of those showers and thunderstorms. It'll be drier to the west, and then we'll have that front moving through. So we're looking at upper 80s potentially here for high temperatures. Forecast models, again, well over an inch widespread. Some spots could see well over 2 inches. That's some of the high resolution models indicating that. Thursday would cool down a bit, upper 70s, isolated thunderstorms. Dries out Friday just in time for the weekend. We warm back up Saturday, partly cloudy skies, high 88, 87. Next Sunday, looks like a beautiful weekend to enjoy.
Today is officially the first day of summer, and many parts of the country will see hot temperatures. According to pediatrician Richard So from the Cleveland Clinic, you can help beat the heat by hydrating the night before. He also suggests that people take breaks from the heat by getting into the shade. Dr. So says that vomiting and exhaustion are telltale signs of heat illness among kids. So says it's important to cool the kid down with ice or even a garden hose. But if symptoms persist, he says to seek medical attention immediately. The fentanyl crisis is affecting the lives of ordinary American families. Dr. Mark Siegel has more from New York.
How does a vibrant, healthy, physically capable 17-year-old just no longer live?
It's been more than a year since Chris and Laura Didier found their 17-year-old son slumped over his desk inside their home near Sacramento. Zach Didier died of fentanyl poisoning in December 2020 after taking what he thought was a single Percocet pill. Instead, it turned out to be fentanyl, a synthetic opioid up to 100 times more powerful than morphine.
There was no Percocet at all in his system.
A recent study by the Journal of the American Medical Association finds fentanyl-involved fatalities among adolescents ages 14 to 18 have skyrocketed every year since 2019. Zach, a straight-A student, athlete and musician, was said to be a first-time user who bought the drug on Snapchat. Fentanyl can be easily disguised as another drug.
It is about poisoning, not overdose, that it's about the deception that's happening.
Apps like Snapchat have faced heavy criticism by parents who say they are essentially an open market for the sale and purchase of drugs.
Just 2 milligrams of fentanyl is enough to kill someone. That's 10 or 20 tiny crystals of salt.
Laura and Chris turned their grief into activism.
We've got to talk about the dangers that our kids are being exposed to.
What if in our warning and in sharing our story, we can save some of these other kids? And we knew it's what Zach would want us to do.
The DEA reports that Mexico's transnational criminal organization, which includes China, India, and social media, are producing increased quantities of fentanyl-laced counterfeit tablets. Shining a spotlight on these bogus pills is a big part of protecting our children.
Growing up, your parents probably told you not to play with your food. But how about wearing it? Jackie Ibanez has more on a fashion show serving up fresh looks made out of food and the messages behind them.
The clothes in this fashion show look good enough to eat. And if you're feeling a little hungry, well, you probably could. That's because roughly 70% of them are made with real food. These unique looks causing stomachs to growl are also shining a light on gastronomy, a practice examining the dynamic relationships between food and cultures from around the world. And gastronomy students at a university in Mexico City are the masterminds behind this show, working with popular foods used in Mexican cuisine like chilies, cacao, dried fruit, and caramel.
We used purple ayocote to make the jacket. Everything was embroidered by hand.
To make clothes highlighting a variety of diverse social groups like hipsters, goths, and more.
Behind the design of each one of these costumes, there is research into the urban tribe. There is research into the designs, into the way they express themselves.
And gastronomy is becoming quite the global phenomenon, with the United Nations World Tourism Organization saying it promotes an understanding among different cultures and brings people and traditions together. Meanwhile, if you're still looking for a summer vacation idea, gastronomy tourism could be your ticket to discovering the world. The UNWTO says it helps fuel jobs and other opportunities in foreign countries for communities in mostly rural areas.
Coming up, could surveillance-type cameras become the new umpires at baseball games? More on the new automated ball and strike systems next. In baseball, the calls of the umpire can be a source of frustration for fans and players alike. But this year, the MLB has launched the so-called robot umpires in the 11 Pacific Coast League AAA teams, just one step away from reaching the major leagues. Ashley Soriano tells us about the automated ball and strike system that recently debuted at the Las Vegas Aviators ballpark.
This week, the Las Vegas Aviators will play its third home series of the season. It's also the third series they're using quote-unquote robot umpires. As cool and bizarre as it would be to see Jetsons-like robots on the field, it's more like 8 surveillance-looking cameras at the top of the bleachers. Like hot dogs and beer, some argue booing umpires for a bad call is tradition at baseball games.
Yelling at the umpire, just having a good time, it makes the game feel like authentic, makes it feel real.
But umpires make human errors, so Major League Baseball introduced an automated ball and strike system, or ABS, to increase the accuracy of calls and reduce delays.
Yeah, I think people have the misconception there's going to be a robot behind the plate. Lost in Space is one of my favorite shows. It's not the robot from Lost in Space back there. The umpire's going to have AirPods in, and when the ball comes over, and that basically tells him instantly if it's a ball or strike.
Cameras located at the top of the bleachers detect the strike zone based on the player's height. Once it determines whether the pitch was a ball or strike, a robotic voice tells the umpire through an earpiece. ABS was first introduced in July 2019 in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. It's now reached the top of the minor leagues. The majors could be next.
At the core, sport is a human endeavor. And we like to cheer for our fans. We like to vilify the umpires. And it's theater of sport. And part of that would be lost if we move to robotic officiating.
Purdue University professor Rayvon Fouché has studied technology in sports. He says there's not enough evidence yet of whether this technology is improving umpires' accuracy. Fans are split.
It's good in some ways, but not in baseball. Baseball's an old-fashioned game.
In real high-stakes situations like the World Series, we need the most accurate call possible.
MLB has said it's possible the system could roll out in major league games, but no details on a potential timeline.
The company positioning itself as the face of the metaverse is busy making new technology to get us there. Meta Platform CEO Mark Zuckerberg teased a series of virtual reality prototype headsets on Twitter Monday. The goal of these new headsets is to better mimic visual detail of the real world and to make the device more lightweight and comfortable. Meta also launched its avatar store, allowing users to fully customize their metaverse alter egos. Krispy Kreme is adding its own special twist for the summer. Coming up, we have more on the new treat made from Krispy Kreme's original glazed donut recipe. We want to leave you with a smile. Krispy Kreme is adding its special twist for the summer. The chain is launching its original glazed soft serve ice cream. The new treat is made with ingredients from Krispy Kreme's original glazed donut recipe, including its iconic glazed flavor. It will be available in shakes, cones, and cups. The lineup includes 7 hand-spun shakes inspired by fan-favorite donut flavors and waffle cones handmade with Krispy Kreme's donut mix and toppings, made from dehydrated original glazed donuts. From our whole team, thank you for watching. I'm Anna Manuel. We hope you have a great rest of your day.